and welcome back to Montana. Winter is almost here for us. We've already had snow, we've had pretty cold mornings, we have lit the propane stove in the kitchen, so sometimes you'll hear that kicking on and off in the background. It's kind of noisy. But today I got to take care of apples. I am going to hopefully dehydrate some of them, turn some of them into sauce. There's a fly around here. And also make some apple butter. So that's what we're up to today. Come along. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Cece. My husband Kirk and I homestead in the big, beautiful state of Montana. And I try to make sure that I can put food on the table no matter what happens. And so today, like I said, we've got to tackle some apples. My mom was able to pick some and had more than what she needed, so she left me have the rest of them. So first things I'm gonna do is I'm going to get out my apple slicer and see if the apples can even go through that. And if they're just too soft, then I'm just gonna chop them up. And I may even go ahead and put them in my big roaster. Normally I just put them on a big kettle on the stove, but depending on how many I have, that roaster may actually work a lot better. So let me go get the slicer and I'll be right back. Okay, I don't know if you have one of these, but they're pretty easy to get your hands on. This is supposed to suction to the table. There we go. And let's see. Oh, it does not want to stay suctioned. Okay, they come out perfectly sliced. He got a little twisted up somehow. I will probably just take a knife and cut them so that they are nice apple slices. And then the core comes out, and I'm gonna save the core and the scraps for what they call apple scrap vinegar. So I think some of these bigger ones are gonna work out really fine for dehydrating. So I'm gonna go ahead and run a few more through until I get some ready for the dehydrator. I'm hoping I don't need the silicone mats for apples. I think they will sit on here pretty good. Now, I have some like little apples like this that I don't think they're gonna fit on here. So I'm gonna save these apples and I'm just gonna cut them in half or quarter them, and these will definitely get turned into sauce. So for now, I'm just gonna go through my whole crate and figure out the larger apples. And then I will deal with the smaller ones, but this thing is a huge time saver and it helps keep everything sliced the same, so everything dries pretty much the same. Okay, I'm finding that standing height at my table. It's kind of hard on my back. So I got, I think, just the last rack done that I'm gonna do. A lot of the apples, running them through, they're kind of wanting to fall apart because they're soft. Probably should have done this 2-3 weeks ago, but you know what, things get busy. So I'm gonna put these in the dehydrator. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I thought I would do them for like 12 hours, but that's gonna put me at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think I'm gonna turn the temperature down. Instead of at 150, I think I'm gonna try at 130. It is not a full dehydrator load, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do them for 13 to 14 hours instead. And I would rather them be just a little bit overdone than underdone. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then the next thing is, you can kind of see I already got started here. Some of them were falling apart on me, so I'm just chopping them up and sticking them in here. Peels, cores, everything, because I'll run them through a food mill. I have my nice container here of apple scraps, and I will show you guys how I make apple scrap vinegar, apple scrap vinegar. Because I cannot measure the pH when I am done with this, I will not use this for canning, or like, I might use it for cooking, but definitely not canning. I may just end up using it as cleaning options. Yeah, maybe even as shots of vinegar, because I will probably put one of my mother's from my kombucha in it, and we'll make some vinegar. So let me get this in the dehydrator, and then I'm going to chop up the rest of these and get them cooking. Okay, I have the dehydrator going, and when I mean I'm just gonna chop them, I really do just chop them like that. Some of these bigger ones would have been fine going through my peeler, but they're getting soft inside, and so the core was breaking halfway through, and then I had a big apple mess. Okay, I got that done. I don't think I'm gonna cook this down this evening. I probably have time, but then I'd have to run it through the food mill and then do something with it yet this evening. So I think I'm gonna put the lid on and put it in our back room, which is basically a walk-in refrigerator in the wintertime. So then I'll cook it in the morning, but I am going to refresh my memory on how to do this, and then I'll come back and show you guys how to do this. So, okay, sorry it's loud. I got the propane heater going and the dehydrator, but I put all my apple scraps in a gallon jar, and I have 1 cup of sugar, and I don't know, it's probably a pint or so of water. I may have to do more sugar water because I want these scraps to be completely covered. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do at least another half a cup of sugar and probably another pint of water. Okay, another quart, not pint, quart with almost a full cup of sugar. The goal is to keep everything under water level, and you'll probably have to stir it every day until it kind of starts to settle down and sink in there. You can add a little bit of apple cider vinegar. I am going to actually add a mother from my kombucha. Speaking of which, looks like I need to make some more kombucha here soon. In fact, I'm going to pour just a little bit in here. There we go. Now I'm going to find another paper towel to put over top of him and stir him every day for the first week or so. And then after about 2 weeks, I will strain it and let it continue fermenting a little bit longer, but somewhere kind of cool but dark, not hot but not cold either. So I'll probably put him right up there beside my kombucha, up there, kind of up there beside my refrigerator. So that's the very simple way of making apple scrap cider or apple scrap vinegar. Again, do not use this for canning. It probably will not have a strong enough pH, but you can use it for cleaning supplies. Good morning. So I just got my big kettle full of apples on, and I will show that to you here in a minute, but I did add 1 quart of water. I don't know if that's enough. I'll just kind of keep watching it as I'm cooking it down, but let me show you here real quick. So it is full of apples, and I will just kind of keep an eye on this today. I do not remember how long they need to cook for, so I'll just watch it, and when the apples start getting really soft and mushy, then I'll turn it off and run it through the food mill. The apples in the dehydrator, I believe, are done. We did change the time and the temperature last night before we went to bed because we weren't sure we wanted to let it run all night long. So we bumped it up to 150 and had it shut off at midnight. And we did that change at about 8:30 last night. And so they were looking pretty well, really close by 8:30 last evening. So I'm guessing they are definitely done. So let's go take a peek at those. Oh yeah. Definitely done. I was afraid maybe they'd be overdone, but they still are a little chewy. They're not gonna last long in my house, so I will probably pull them out sometime today and put them in a jar. A Ziploc bag would be easier for my kids to get to, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and put them in like a half-gallon jar and see how much I get. Finally got the apples out of the dehydrator. Put them in some glass jars. Next up are these apples. I went and turned them off. They've been cooking all morning. I homeschool, so we did school this morning. We've done lunch. I've turned them off. I'm gonna kind of let them cool off a little because my kids like running them through the food mill. And if they're too hot, sometimes it can splash and stuff. So I'll show you here real quick. They're cooked down pretty well. They kind of look ugly right now, to be honest. It's kind of all brown and mushy, but that's kind of what we want. So I'm going to take my normal afternoon cup of coffee and just a half hour, 45 minutes to myself, and then I will come back and we will start running the apples through the food mill and turning them into applesauce. All right, I am going to go ahead and start running some apples through the food mill. My kiddos love helping with this, so I will show you guys kind of the first little bit of how we do it, and then I will probably let them come and run some through. So I'm just getting some apples here, loading this up. The reason I go backwards some is because if there's a lip here, and when you go around, it gets caught up under that lip. Sometimes you have to go backwards to release everything and keep going. These apples are not quite as soft as I thought they were, so maybe I could have let them cook down just a touch more. Definitely works your arms, so if you have kiddos that want to help, I'll let them. Your shoulders and arms will thank you. Okay, then what is left is pretty much just your peels and your seeds. Sometimes this guy on the bottom needs a little bit of tightening up. Yeah, he's wanting to get loose on me. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do this with a KitchenAid attachment, or you can actually buy a full like food mill that's either electric. Yeah, I think electric, or you attach to your KitchenAid. But I grew up doing it like this. I found this one, I believe, at a secondhand store or an antique store, and I use it to do tomato sauce with it, applesauce. That way I do not have to worry about peeling apples, coring them, anything like that. And I think I'm gonna let my kids have a turn at it, but so I can show you. That is pretty much pure applesauce. We always run it through the blender yet to mix either honey or sugar with it. Some apples are sweet enough you don't need to, but a lot of apples just have a little bit of that tart flavor to it. So if we add just a little bit of sugar, kind of helps balance that out. So I'm gonna let my kids work at this for a while, and then I will probably end up coming out and finishing up. And then we will run this through the blender with some sugar, and we'll see how much it makes, because I'm debating on how much apple butter versus applesauce I want to make. I will not put sugar in this if I'm going to make apple butter, because I put a lot of brown sugar in it for the apple butter. So I want unsweetened sauce for that. So I'm gonna have to decide. And then I'm also gonna have to decide, is it worth canning it? Or will I only have enough to just kind of throw it in the freezer and call it good? So meanwhile, I'm gonna let the kids have a turn at this. Okay, I have pretty much a gallon of plain sauce here. There's no added sugar yet. I am using a recipe out of a cookbook that I grew up with, the Mennonite Community Cookbook. I actually checked what the copyright date was, and the very first copyright date is like 1950 something. So I have my 4 quarts gallon of sauce. Now I need 7 cups of brown sugar, 1 cup of vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. It said, or you could do 1 cup of crushed pineapple. I always go the cinnamon route. So 7 cups brown sugar, 1 cup vinegar, 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. I was about a half a cup of brown sugar short, but I think that's gonna be okay. I'm gonna give this a really good stir. It needs to go into the oven at 350 for 3 hours. And I will stir it probably every half hour or so. Okay, it is almost 3 o'clock. Yeah, so 6 o'clock it needs to come out. I am still working on making regular sauce. My kids did probably about half of it for me, and then they got tired of it, which is completely fine. So I'm gonna finish that, and then I will probably go ahead and blend it up tonight. I'm not gonna have more than probably about a gallon, so that's gonna make about 4 quarts. I'll probably just go the simple route and freeze it this time. So I have about a gallon of sauce, and I'm just going to stick some in my blender. You wouldn't have to blend it. Like I said, this is something that we have just gotten used to doing. As long as I can remember growing up, we always blended our applesauce. It gives it a very, like a baby food type of consistency. It's very, very smooth. I'm gonna start with probably a half a cup of sugar, and we'll do a taste test. And it's your own stuff, you just, yeah, I think that'll work really good. And these are my freezer containers. Leave a little bit of room for expansion. And Okay, so I have 4 quarts here. And then this was in the refrigerator from some applesauce that we had opened, and it had a little bit in, so I just filled up the rest that I had in my blender. I have some butter waiting for me to deal with, and a dirty kitchen now. Word of advice, if you do not get to cleaning up apple stuff immediately, rinse it out and put hot water in it. Because apple stuff, when it gets sticky, very difficult to clean. So we're gonna just keep stirring that apple butter every now and then. Gonna throw those in the freezer, and we're about done with the apples. All right, we're gonna can up the apple butter. I recruited some help. I'm gonna do what they call a hot seal. It's gonna come out of there super bubbly hot. I've got jars in the sink full of hot water. We'll start filling them. Let's stir this here. Oh yeah, she's nice and thick. Okay, go ahead, get me a jar out of the sink.
There's big ones or little ones?
It doesn't matter because I've got it all set up.
So do you want to use, what are you using to scoop it in?
This. So then just get me a jar.
Wait.
Doesn't matter, whichever one.
Probably, this might work better, that blue rail.
Yeah, it's dirty.
Look at this.
Yep, it's gonna be messy. I'm gonna have to take that wet rag and clean the top off of that. Okay, go ahead, pop one on. And then can you put it over here on this towel? And then I'll take another one. Partial one we'll put in the fridge, and here we go. Some of these are gonna work really good as like Christmas gifts. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 of the flat and 4 of this size plus this little guy. So I don't think this is a full pint, but they work really good. They're like the jam. So there we go. That was a full gallon of sauce turned into apple butter, and I am completely done with apple stuff this year, so I'm pretty happy about it. So thanks for following along, and until next time, hope you guys have a great one.